Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Ben Backus.
And I'm Kevin Paulin, and welcome to the Falling Up Podcast, where we have conversations about turning obstacles into opportunities. And on today's show, we have the pleasure of being joined by Miss Tori Hamilton.
Tori does a little bit of everything when it comes to money. She helps individuals get in housing. She helps individuals with credit rebuilding and just giving an overall general awareness and education to money to try to make it a little less scary for everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation because I think money is a huge part of life, and helping individuals change their perspective and views on money is a huge part of the work that I like to incorporate into everything I do. So without further ado,
welcome to the Falling Up Podcast.
All right. Well, let's jump into this.
Okay.
I know we just had a nice conversation around organization and moving, getting people to buy into work, which I think is a great life skill and great leadership skills. But yeah, I think a good place to start, because I'm very, very excited to get to know your background and get to know how you've essentially landed in the position that you're in today. But let's just take a step back. Can you just introduce yourself and let everyone, including myself, know kind of your roles, what you do, who you are.
From?
Where I'm from? Okay.
All that.
Thank you, everyone. Hello, my name's Tori Hamilton, and I'm a Hartford native, born, mostly bred there, and presently I'm a program manager with Connecticut Association for Human Services. I run 3 programs: the Bank On Connecticut program, which connects the unbanked and underbanked citizens of our state to safe, affordable, and certified checking accounts offered through our financial institution partners. The big takeaway from the Bank On program is that they mandate that these accounts be offered with no overdraft fees, right? Which is a big, we could talk about that for a long time. But in addition, I run Connecticut Money School, which is a financial capability program statewide. We provide financial capability workshops to community-based organizations and individuals across the state. And I also run our one-on-one financial coaching program. And that one is a great program, especially for folks who have a goal. We pair individuals who have a financial goal with a financial coach. And that financial coach comes to us from a number of places. We primarily use volunteers in that program, and they come from partner banks. They are retired accountants. They also work with our VITA program. So they come in and they work with people one-on-one on their financial goals. So I really enjoy the Connecticut Association for Human Services asset building programs. Those were just 3 of them. There are a few more. And I came in 2 weeks before the pandemic as the Bank On program coordinator. Pretty much my background, human services, 20 years nonprofit program management or program running programs. And so what I enjoy about CAS, the Connecticut Association for Human Services, that's the name we call it, CAS. What I love about them is that they are programming by itself. They're great. Each program by itself is a wonderful thing, but when you pair them and marry them together, then we can see changes in communities across the state. And so that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, no, and what I think most excited about this conversation is we get to talk about money.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is it's central to what you do. And I think money and well-being go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Right? And for many reasons, I think money can be a taboo topic. And you hear people, I think our relationships with money can be very, very, I want to say not good, but it's deeper than just not good, right? There's so many myths. I think there's so much misinformation about money and what its use is and how to actually get money. And I think people are afraid of money.
Absolutely.
And the end result of not being educated and not understanding the role of money is you don't have any.
You don't have
right?
any.
And then you can easily make claims like, oh, money's not important, money's evil, people who have money aren't good people, right? Or they did these negative, dirty things to get that money. When in reality, right, 9 times out of 10, that is absolutely not the case. So where I want to start is, why do you think money is so scary? And why do you think money gets such a bad reputation in society?
Well, you know, I to take what you said and then the flip side of it, right? Those that don't have money, right? They're the cause of their own problems, right? So I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we understand that we have to, everyone needs food, shelter, right? You need money to gain those things. So it's across the board. Everybody knows that they need it. What becomes scary, I think, is being able to access it, being able to have enough to meet your needs, right? And why is it scary? Another reason is because the way it's promoted, the way it's marketed, our marketing and advertising schemes, right? You know, they generally, there was a study done a few years ago about when you see the most ads about luxury items, right? And it's during a time like 5 seconds after you saw a news something on the news talking about an Amber Alert, right? Or something talking about us being at level orange, right? And then the next thing you know, you're going to see a Mercedes commercial. Because what I guess advertisers have found is that when people are scared or feeling anxious, they're going to go spend. Right? And so what about those people that don't have money, right? And have those same fears that come up when an advertiser comes on about a Mercedes right after the Amber Alert. They still want that Mercedes as well. Right. So what will they do to get it?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. And I haven't looked at it that way, but it does make sense. Even, I forget exactly what it was, but there was this segment within the past week talking about the war that's going on. And it was this just, very dark, all the just atrocities that are going on. And then all of a sudden it didn't go, the news station was still on, but there was like one of those pop-up ads for something absolutely ridiculous. And it was just like, oh my God. This is, and that just made me think of exactly what you said. Yeah. So
marketing and psychology. That's
100%, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Play on them fears.
Play on your fears, and you only market to 25 and under because they're the only people that matter.
It's also when you look at impulsivity in money, that's probably one of the greatest causes of not being able to have a healthy relationship is the ability to, one, have a plan, which I know we're going to be able to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Right? But if I am impulsive, right, well, who is most likely to be impulsive? Adolescents and young adults who don't have fully developed brains, which help with impulse control and being able to plan futuristically. So it is very targeted to that strategically. And I personally come from the standpoint where I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I think that the system, capitalism, is working the way that it is intended to. But on the flip side, I don't think we do a good job educating and having these types of conversations to help people be able to plan, help people be able to control those impulses, especially in a day like today, right? Like 40 years ago, if you drive the Mercedes-Benz, it meant that you had wealth.
That's right.
Today, if you drive a Mercedes-Benz, it might mean that you're in $50,000 credit card debt.
That's right.
So it's very easy to have these luxurious tastes, but not be able to live within your means. So,
well, hold on. Just something you said though. You said that you agree with capital. What you say?
yes,
See,
that I agree with. I didn't say I agree. I said I don't see anything wrong with the way that it's done.
You don't see anything wrong?
No, I see things wrong with not educating to be able to help people make informed decisions. I think there is a lot that can be done there to improve it. But in terms of the companies that are creating the advertisements, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. I think that is fair game. They're often can at least make the based on how rules are set up, they're abiding by the rules and regulations the majority of the times. And
but I think you can't separate the two.
What do you mean?
Like you're like you don't like the game, but if you don't know the rules of the game, then it's wrong. Because you're basically saying that people aren't educated on the psychology of marketing.
Right.
So if you're not educated on psychology of marketing, that's not ethically right, in my opinion, because you're playing off the capitalists are capitalizing off the ignorance.
yeah.
So
And
that game is fucked up. It's flawed.
It is, and you're right. It is flawed. However,
So I have a problem with it because it's flawed.
and that's what I think that we can do a much better job educating, and that is what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with people capitalizing on the ways of the world and the norms that have been set. So I don't blame. It's kind of, and I'm going to bring it back to something to sports, right? So 2014 Patriots Ravens game. Second half, Patriots are down 14, and Belichick throws out this wild formation that completely gets the Ravens off balance. They drive down, they score, right? Harbaugh is on the sidelines getting personal fouls because he's pissed off, but he didn't. It was completely by the rules. So was it not right that they applied a strategy that was completely within the rules that worked? Should they have been punished for that? And I think it's the same thing with the marketers and the people who it's their job to put food on their table for their families to maximize their gains, and they're doing it within the system that is created. So I don't see anything wrong with that. They're doing what is in their control and what they're capable of. I see that it's wrong that we're not educating on the back end.
Can the Patriots do that? Can they? Is that place illegal now?
No,
Why?
they now you have to.
Because it was cheating.
No, it wasn't cheating.
Now it is. You can't do that play anymore.
So now you can still do the play, but you have to go to the ref, and they take more time to say this player is eligible, right?
So the rule was changed.
So
In 2015, you can no longer do what they did in that playoff game.
So
quickly, after that offseason,
right? So in 2015, what they did
'Cause it wasn't right.
was they created more education around the rule, meaning that hey, we have to slow down and we have to say what we're doing.
No. They didn't create more education on the rule. They changed the rule. The rule was changed. So was it. If the rule didn't change, you said, okay, now we're gonna have conferences to explain the rule. That means it was education on the rule. But if the rule is changed, that rule's no longer there.
But the rule is the rule didn't change.
The rule did change. You just said you have to talk to the ref and tell them. You have to check.
You had to do that before, but the ref didn't.
didn't.
Yes, you did.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Let me just please hear me out. So, because we're going to get into the nitty gritty here. The rule originally was you would go up to the ref, you would say, I'm an eligible receiver. The ref would go like this, right?
Yeah.
To indicate it, but wouldn't make the announcement. That
Okay.
was how that was how it was done historically.
Okay.
After this, now you go to the ref, and the ref makes the announcement that this player is eligible, right? And everyone is very aware of that.
So you just described the change of the rule.
The rule, all they did was announce what they were doing. That is the change. So yeah, if you want to say the rule change, you can make that statement, right? So what I'm saying, hold on, let's bring in a third party because
I don't know football.
No. We're gonna back because it's not even about football. Okay. It's about the rule changes. If you could do something without them announcing it, then the next game or the next season, they have to now announce it. That change.
I can bring another situation that's money related back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk about, unfortunately, I don't know the exact year, but previous to this rule change, everybody could file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Okay? And so Bush was in office, and there was a record number of poor people in the low-income stratosphere getting bankrupt, going through bankruptcy court, getting absolved of debt. The rules changed. You can still file for bankruptcy, but now you have to pay a little bit more. You have to. You're more responsible for the amount, right? So, yeah, it changed, but was it for the better?
Right.
Right. And now it's announced to everybody, but now you've kind of changed the rules, so now that more people can't be a part of it. And that's where I see capitalism going wrong. Because when more people are able to take advantage of it, a rule will change that'll keep them out of the ability, without the ability to access.
Right.
Okay, so another example. I'm a Bank On coordinator. Bank On is a national movement to connect the unbanked and underbanked to bank accounts. Well, just recently I was asked to testify on a House Bill 5612, an act concerning low-cost bank accounts. They're trying to make it a law. Great, right?
Right.
But what does it do for this movement that's been around the country for 10 years trying to get banks to understand that they need to follow the Community Reinvestment Act and invest in their communities, right? So if the state takes over this, right, and mandates banks to do it, then what's the need for the Bank On movement, grassroots movement? So this is where I think we can kind of bring both what you were talking about with the football game back into money, right? Because when you really examine what actually is happening, it's a have and have not kind of situation, and the haves want to make sure that there's still have nots.
Well,
And that's the fundamental problem.
That's
right?
it.
Instead of recognizing that there's an abundance of resources.
That's right.
Right? And that everyone can have a piece of the pie. That's the piece. And that goes back to the idea that I don't think it's objectively wrong to maximize what you can get, right? But I think it is wrong to not let people know that there's what is actually going on.
Yeah.
Right? And intentionally keeping people ignorant for your gain, that's the part that is wrong, right? I don't think what you're doing to create the gain is necessarily wrong. In some cases, I'm sure it's very black and white that it is wrong. Like you are not abiding by the rules. You are doing very malicious acts, right? But I like to think that most people aren't doing that, right? But to really be able to empower and let people in on the secret. I think that is where we have direct control to really make changes in people's lives.
That's where I'm at.
Right. And I think that's what you do. So can you get into just a little bit? I know you've helped so many individuals and so many families with properties and just overall money awareness. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. Thank you. So I began my career in nonprofits, writing grants for a small faith-based organization in Hartford. And an opportunity came for a HUD grant. And so I wrote it and got the grant. First time out, first time doing a federal grant. And it was a beast, but I got through it. And so the executive director, I'm like, oh, so we got the money. So who are we going to hire to run this great housing counseling program that we're going to put together? He says, you're looking at her. I'm like, I know nothing about housing. So it brings me to a saying that a family member, one of my dearest family members, who's now no longer with us on this earth, she used to always say, how is somebody going to tell me how to buy a house when they live in an apartment? And here I was, living in an apartment, teaching people. But that job, it wasn't a job. It was actually a calling, because it helped me to see, number one, how systems that were in place for people to buy houses really wasn't taken into consideration the people at the bottom who also had the dream and the capacity to own a home as well. So what they were doing was corralling people into a 8-hour training, and at the end of the 8 hours, saying on a Saturday, okay, you worked all week, and at the end of that 8 hours, give you a certificate and say, you're eligible to go get a house, go see a mortgage company. How is this changing people's lives? How are we gauging that they've even learned anything, right? So I took it to HUD. I said, look, I can't do it this way. I'm working with people who are housing authority residents who have had subsidies paying their rent for years. There's some changes that need to be made, and I need to be able to measure this change to be able to seriously help these people. So they said, well, what do you suggest? I said, we break this down. I work with them in a group session for a month. They come once a week for 2 hours. I take those modules, I break them down into 4. And in addition, I'll work with them one-on-one, what I called credit rebuilding sessions, looking at their credit report, identifying the issues that they may have, and saying, okay, helping them even make the calls, because people were, they'd I'd say, bring me your bills. They'd bring me a stack never opened. They're not even looking at their bills because of the anxieties they have with money, right? So I would also contact their creditors for them, right? And so what that did, working with people for 6 months to 18 months, I was able to help over 1,000 families become homeowners. And not one of them, well, one, because she didn't listen. She got married and didn't get the prenup. So anyway, but out of that, 999 people are still in their homes 16 years later.
And you know what you really did there?
What?
You changed them from a number to a person.
Thank you.
And that is so beautiful. And I wanted to look at Kevin that whole time and be like, does that model sound familiar?
Yeah.
Because that is the precise model that we have created with Winning Ways.
Yes.
Where it's not, if you're coming to an 8-hour class to learn information, how long did it take you to learn all this information?
Right.
And I'm going to be able to, and someone's really going to be able to understand that and apply that in their life in 8 hours. We're doing this because they're a number. We're checking them off the box so we can keep our funding going and wash our hands of the situation. And what you said is, this isn't right.
This isn't right.
This is not doing anything other than allowing this endless cycle to continue.
That's right.
And you were able to break it down, personalize it, and as a result, what is your retention rate?
99%.
99%. Like that, it gives me goosebumps because it's amazing. And what you do too is you give me hope, and I know you give this man hope, right? Because that is what we want to build meaningful relationships with people, because that is the only way to help.
That's all
That's
it's
right.
about, relationship building. People have to, I use this term a lot, buy-in, but it's really believe you, and you have to be believable, and you have to be transparent, right? What I did a lot was share my stories, because I was that person that lived in the apartment and trying to get them into home ownership. So I shared my story, because guess what? I became a homeowner as well, right?
Talk about it.
That's what I did. And so I took the knowledge that I got, that I was imparting to others, and applied it to myself. And I think that's the best story to tell. That's the best story to tell.
Yeah, it changes and we talked about this in the beginning when we were not recording. But the idea of when you tell people to do something, right? The walls come up. Why am I just going to do what you tell me to do? However, when you attract people to do something, that's where that magic happens, right? It's not about promotion, right? It's about that attraction, and to take that personalized approach, it works.
It does.
Yeah, we can touch success.
To this day, I haven't been housing counseling almost. It's been 9 years almost. I still get calls today. Somebody told them that I helped them. I still get calls today wherever I'm at. And I'm like, I'm not doing housing anymore. I can direct. I'll pay you. No.
Yeah.
Anything I can do to help you, but you need a counselor.
That's impact. You impact throw a rocket to a pond and it ripples out.
Yeah.
That's what you
absolutely.
did. That rock's still rippling out 9 years later.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
No doubt.
So, in everything you teach, and I know that this is hard to cover in the amount of time we have, but what are some of the most kind of impactful tips you can provide to people? What helped you the most in your journey with this?
Identifying needs versus wants is one of the things that I teach people. The person in my work, I have what I've encountered is that the person who is the most amenable to a budget is a single mom, because it's always in her head. She knows to a penny most of the times how much is in that account. She knows, well, there was a time when, if you had a checking account and you go to a grocery store 2 days before your paycheck came in, you still had that window of time. So this is what I mean. So I think budgeting, knowing that you need to write things down, understanding your emotional connection, bad or good, to money. I told this story to people about, the journey I took to home ownership. There were some behaviors I had to change. I was one of those people that needed to shop. I needed every paycheck. I needed a new outfit. Okay. A lot of people that come from a poverty situation, they have that kind of mindset. Mm-hmm. So I had to stop doing that because my account was being watched while I was in this mortgage process, right? So what I would do is I would literally go to a store when I was anxious, because now I had to look deep. What caused this? Anxiety, anger, stress, right? So what I would do is I'd go into a Marshalls or something of that, and I'd pick up every outfit that I knew I'd never wear in public. Mini skirts, things, and I'd go into the dressing room and I'd try them all on and look in the mirror and see how ridiculous I look, laugh, but it got it out, and I'd walk out that store without a purchase. So understanding what your emotional connection is with money, what's your trigger? Right, and trying to harness that and changing. That's how you change.
And I think to take it a step further, because that was a brilliant example.
Yeah, it really was.
Not only understanding your emotional connection and your triggers, but having accountability in your life.
That's right.
So that program served as your accountability. And what I like to think, right, is accountability leads to habits, and habits lead to discipline.
Absolutely.
Right? And people think that you need to have discipline to do something. No, discipline comes after.
That's it.
Because you get the conditioned response that says, oh my God, when I'm on point with my money and I'm not spending frivolously and I'm able to save and I'm able to accomplish my financial goals, this feels really good.
It does.
So let me keep doing it.
That's right. The first goal, I'm going to save $500. Well, I saved that $500 fast, so now I want to save $1,000. That's what you see in these classes and with these financial coaching sessions. So that's what I do, and I love it. I could talk for days about it because it's important. It's so important and impactful. It can change. Something you said about behaviors, right? And going from behaviors to discipline, right? I encourage folks with children, right, to bring your kids to class, because they're going to help you be accountable. Case in point, talking about advertising, right? You have a 2-year-old in your car with you in your back seat. Can't barely talk, but you drive past the McDonald's, and what are they doing? They know those M's. McDonald's food and French fries, right? Yeah. Okay. No. Right? So now you bring them in, you tell them, the family's going to buy a house. We're going to get you a backyard with a playground, right? Another little point I have to make before I finish this story. You have your 2-year-old in your car with you, or your 4-year-old, and you drive past Bank of America's ATM. I want something to eat. Well, I don't have any money. Yes, you do. You could go right there. They know, okay? Yeah. All right, so now you drive past. You've got them in your goal set with you. You've told them, we are going to buy a house by the end of the year. And you drive with them, and you go to the Bank of America, and you put your ATM card in. Don't do that. We're supposed to be getting a house. Literally, that happens. So bring your family in, right? Let them in on your goal. They're not too young. I remember when I was in second grade, bring your pennies to school, put them in a manila envelope. We're going to the bank to deposit your pennies. Yeah. So kids, we've gotten away from that, right? But we need to start that again, because the earlier you introduce these concepts to them, the better.
Right, and that's the unintended consequence too, is then they have a real value of money.
There you go.
Right, and that I know in my life was something that I really regret, that up until being a young adult and, getting curious and deciding I want to read some books on money and investing and savings, I knew nothing. Right. And I look at, hey, if I could do it again, if I could have had a savings and investment account opened up in my name when I was, 8 years old, where I could be today. And that is a real, right. Money is exciting, or it can be exciting. It can also be the scariest thing in the world. Right. And it's up to us to determine what our relationship is. And when money is exciting, you do things that excite you. That's so right. You're more likely to see more of it, right? Whereas when something is scaring, you avoid it. That's so you're more likely to see less of it. That's and then we create these ideas around it that are going to back up the way we view it.
That's
right?
it.
If something is scary, I'm going to find a reason. Money's bad. Money's bad. Money's bad.
Banks are bad.
Banks are bad. Mm-hmm. All these things are bad.
Mm-hmm. So how we overcome that fear of banking and money and the relationship of it?
By being real with people, educating them, showing them a different way, showing them that there are options out there, that there are safe and affordable bank accounts that won't take your money, that, there are accounts that are just like Chime. So you don't have to go inside of a bank lobby anymore and deal one-on-one with someone. Just demystifying money, demystifying systems, that financial institutions, demystifying it, and then making them accountable again to the communities that they're supposed to be serving.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no doubt. That fear of money, like, I remember I was saying this to somebody the other day. When I was before I went to prison, I was had a full-time job. I was young. I was 22. I had a full-time job in Hartford. I was working at MetLife. I was hustling at the same time, full throttle. You see what I'm saying? I was getting to a bag, but I ain't gonna say I had nothing to show for it, but I blew it so fast. And then I got locked up. I bailed out. I started working again at Prudential. They fired me like 2 weeks because then they ran my background and they say I had an open case. And then the SEC was investigating me. It was crazy. They was investigating me. Said I lied on the federal form. I said it was crazy. It got nuts. A whole bunch of stuff. So I'm a federal investigation, state investigation, New Jersey. It was crazy, and I ain't do no white collar crime. That's the craziest part. But when I was out on bail and everything, now I got no job. All I'm doing is hustling. It went from to the bright lights to you know what I'm saying, being in New Britain and hustling just to stay in a hotel room every night. You know what I'm saying? Because I refused to go in the shelter. So I was sleeping outside, sleeping in basements, all types of stuff. And my prayer was, when I finally went to prison, my prayer was, I'm never, ever going to struggle for money again. That was my prayer. So when I came home, it came to be. You know what I'm saying? I stopped struggling for money. But what I realized was with that prayer, it wasn't that I had more money. Because I came home, I was working at ShopRite overnight, walking to work, then walking to the shelter to go do 3 hours. He'll tell you, I was grinding. And And on the bus, no car, walking from West Haven to Fairhaven. Like, yeah. I was walking from West Haven to Fairhaven to work 10 at night. You know what I'm saying? To do overnight at the Warming Shelter at Church on the Rock, right by Van Dome. So I'm walking all the way over there. And I realized that I stopped caring about money. It wasn't I got more money. I just stopped caring about it.
I would use the word obsessing.
Yeah.
Obsessing. I like that better.
Right?
You
Yes.
stopped obsessing.
That's the word. That is the word.
I want you to finish your story because
But that is the word.
Yeah.
It is obsessive. It's definitely obsessive because that's exactly it. Because prior to that, everything I did was to get money. Everything. If we were talking, it ain't about money, then you a sucker. What you talking about? It has to be about money. And then when everything stopped being about money, it started being about happiness.
Yeah.
Because that was Think and Grow Rich. We always bring that book up. That has a big part of both our lives, both our organization. Everything is Think and Grow Rich. And Think and Grow Rich is all about money. So I took money out and put happiness.
Yeah.
And that's what I manifested. That was my thing.
Yeah.
And then once I started obsessing on being happy, then it started being of service and all these different things. And then money came in
money
abundance.
Comes in abundance.
I'm taking all these trips, season ticket owner, Phoenix, all types of stuff. And I don't even know where this money come from. I work in human services. I ain't rich.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, that once we start valuing as a community, start valuing happiness over money.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's when everything started changing, our perspective changed, and then the money just complements, or the money shows the hard work that we're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Because the mindset we have is that money will make us happy.
That's right.
That money will make us happy, and it doesn't. What you went through, right? Okay, you had it. Were you happy?
No way.
Okay.
And the only word I would change in what you said was striving for happiness. I would just strive for meaning or some type of, because I think happy can be like I can be happy temporarily.
Yeah.
Right. And not be doing any purposeful, meaningful things.
Right.
Whereas I can not be happy, but I can have so much drive and energy and purpose and make real impacts in the world.
There you go.
That's the only piece I
agree.
would change to that. But like you said too, what happens is when money is my purpose, well, there's no end goal, right?
Yeah.
Like there's never enough. Whereas when I have other things that I'm striving for and I'm being persistent and I'm working, I don't need to think about, like, money naturally comes there. When you find a need in the world and you find a solution for that need, you will make money.
That's it.
It is that, right?
Yeah.
It's that straightforward. So if you find something that you're really excited, or not even excited, but you're willing to work towards, now you don't have to for me, how it happens, and it fluctuates, right? When I become money hungry and I look at what I have and I want more, I get real low.
Yeah.
Right? My life just doesn't go well because
You feel like a failure.
yeah, well, I either feel like a failure or I just lose sight of why I do the things I do, right? Like I didn't choose this. I did not choose my profession because I wanted to make money. I chose my profession because I like giving back, because when I'm selfish, my life goes to shit. And when I'm
That's right.
selfless, my life is good.
That's right.
But when I start getting money hungry, I become selfish.
Yeah.
And then I lose, I all of a sudden I don't want to go to work anymore because why do I have, poor me, I have to go and do the things I have to do. And why am I not making more money? And all of a sudden I become so self-consumed and everything sucks.
That's it.
Whereas when I dive into my work and I'm grateful that I get to do the things I do, I start living within my means easily, right? And I don't care about money anymore.
That's it.
Right? And that is when I feel fulfilled.
And I go back to that spending when you were shopping and coping.
Yeah.
Because I think I do a lot of that myself.
Yeah.
And that goes to what you're saying. If you feel fulfilled by doing the stuff that you do without spending money, then you need less money to fill them little, I guess, gaps of fulfillment.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is.
And before you know it, you look in your bank account and the zeros are growing and the numbers are getting bigger. And
now you got a comma.
It becomes that much easier to save when you can see the results of it, right?
Exactly.
And Then you can take it a step further and learn about investing in properties or learn about investing in more traditional means. And it's a snowball effect.
It's a snowball effect. And that's why education is paramount and important. So important. Because, again, it's all about changing behaviors so that more people can become part of the system.
And I think that's the biggest part with financial literacy, from the way that, I've been blessed to see how you do it and to work with you. And what I've took from you when doing financial literacy under the Winning Ways umbrella is because y'all been doing it before me. So I'd be a fool not to learn from y'all. You know what I'm saying? So the thing that the biggest thing I learned is I could talk about crypto, stocks and bonds. I could talk about all that. I done had licenses, everything. But when we talking about financial literacy, we're talking about the person, the relationship, their behavior, their perspective, and forming habits to form the discipline. When we approach that, that's when we make the impact. That's why they call you 9 years later.
And that's why it's measurable.
That's why
right.
It's measurable. Instead of because we could pull in the bank to do the bank on presentation and tell them about the checking account. That's cool.
Yeah.
But we ain't meeting the person. What we doing?
You're also not really getting them to want it. Just going through the
motions.
Yeah, just going through the motions.
Back to the data.
Right. And when you guys can use your lived experiences, that gets people to believe, right? And I think the biggest, before we do anything, we have to decide what we want to do, right? Like, I can't do what I can't see. And I need to make that commitment that, hey, I want to, like you said, be happy or have purpose or meaning. I want to have money. I want to change these core beliefs that I've held for so long. And as a result, I promise, just like 2 + 2 = 4, there's an equations to this. If I don't think I deserve money, I promise you I'm not going to get money.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I become open to it, I promise you I'm going to find a way to make it. Yeah. I promise you.
And that can be applied to everything in your life, relationships, everything,
It all starts with a vision, right? And, that's
self-worth equals net worth.
It does, though.
I need that.
Right?
I'm on fire. I need that. That's a shirt. I need that. Talk about it.
But in so many ways, it really does. Because let's say you stumble into a large sum of money and you don't have that self-worth. Where's that money going to? Right? All of those frivolous items that you don't need, and before you know it, I have nothing.
So the things you don't need that you think you need.
Right. The material things make me who I am.
Yeah.
No.
We can go to my boy Dave. What I got is what I got, or what I want is what I've not got, but what I need is all around me. Right? Like, I have everything I need.
That's it.
Let me open my eyes to it and let me see how it plays, right?
Well, if you see that you have everything you need, then you're grateful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't see nothing, I don't have nothing, then there's no room for gratitude.
Right.
You ain't grateful for nothing.
But that's it. And when I think I want things that I don't really want, I'm screwed.
But thinking about this is all like a Western way of thinking, right? It really is. Like, think about Africa. They have nothing, but these people are walking around happy as can be, singing, grateful. They have no shoes. They're eating a bowl of rice with their hands, and they're happy.
Well, that spins this whole thing back to that capitalism thing, because like, until you don't know what you don't have, that's how you take advantage of that. You can't sell that to somebody in Africa. You can't sell that. It don't work. You can't even sell that. They looking at you like, this ain't, if you ain't showing me to the natural resources, what we talking about?
Yeah.
That's all I need.
That's all I need.
But if you sell me this, you need this, I need these Jordans. Now I'm saying, now I'm robbing, stealing, do whatever for these Jordans. Now you got me. So every time you release, every week is on the sneak app, release. I'm over there clicking and clacking, trying to get these Jordans. While if we really go deep down, I know a 14-year-old that'll blow you off. You know what I'm saying? That'll shoot you
just for those sneakers.
Just for them sneakers. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, that's where I'm saying that capitalism, like, that if you educate, then you take away that advantage you have to even capitalize. You know what I'm saying? So
I think you can. I do see I think executing is so hard, right? And being realistic, like, this is going to continue to go on. And if you look at all the other forms in different theories, whether socialism, communism, Marxism, or like capitalism has proven to be the best means, most productive, better quality of life for all around. So knowing that that's going to happen, that's where I think it's just like really putting it on empowering individuals, because the system is set, the system's not changing. So how do we empower
those
who and naturally, okay, who is it going to affect the most? Well, it's going to affect individuals who are impoverished and don't have access to resources.
That's it.
Right? So how do we make it that effort to reach as many people as possible? And the reality, like, people are going to fall through the cracks, like, no matter what, and it sucks. How do we do better?
How do we do better?
How do we do better?
I think we connect through community groups, the municipalities get involved. You know, they have to. They're the ones who have, these cities are the ones who, you know, are bearing the brunt of the burden fiscally for these people, right? So I think if more of a mandate of financial education,
yes,
even through in K through 12 education, right? If that's the base right there, you know, I mean, and then if we can embed it there, you know, okay, we're changing a new generation, right? But by working with the community groups, municipalities, things of that nature, who also kind of mandate it to the people who are, you know, are in their coffers, right? And so I think that's how we change it. But what the piece that people don't, well, as a practitioner, I'm going to share a piece that is giving me a lot of pause. People that need it the most, low-income, low-wealth families, primarily if it's not incentivized, they ain't coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is where not forgetting where you came from is so important, in making sure that you give it away to keep it. And it's something that's really admirable about you, right? Where 9 years later, you're still getting these calls and you're still helping out, because that is how you get people, again, going back to the idea of attraction rather than promotion, right? Like, if you are fortunate enough to understand how the game is played and understand what can be done, how do you help the next person, right? How do you show that person that change is possible? How do you show that person that incentives aren't about little carrots that we dangle in front of you, right? But they're about your vision for yourself and your life.
That's it.
And it is like, that's the $1 million question. How do you get people to want to get better? Because if you don't want to get better, let's face it, I can give you every single resource in the book. The second those resources dry up, you're going to go back to doing what you're doing. So how do we get someone to want to change? Because the change actually feels good.
And I think that's, again, being transparent, sharing your stories, allowing a space where people can share stories, because peer-to-peer is one of the best ways, right? And providing that space, you know, so that people can share with each other. I think that's where folks realize, okay, it's not just me. And now I'm more open to learning more about what I can do to change that behavior.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's it in a nutshell. Right.
So I wanted to talk about, because I told you I was looking at the drawing right here. I wanted to talk about credit counseling. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's a hot topic these days.
It's huge.
It's huge right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are looking for services. A lot of people been reaching out to us with our financial literacy, asking about credit repair, and I'm like, you know, I could do so much. Well, I just wanted you to, you know, touch on really for our listeners. What credit repair looks like, and how you help so many people with that.
Okay, so you know how you don't like the word capitalism? I hate the phrase credit repair, because it doesn't get repaired. What happened, and it's there for 7 years, right? But you can rebuild. You can build on what happened. And so I will say that there are no real nonprofits doing this work in this state. After I left, that was pretty much it, okay? it's needed. It's especially needed. So, credit rebuilding. People need to recognize that right now they can get their credit during this pandemic or post-pandemic. Right now, they can get access to their credit report, and they should access their credit report through annualcreditreport.com. The other places offer credit reports, but this one is going to give you the credit reports that an actual creditor would see. Okay, so you want to see those. You're able to get from the three major credit bureaus, reporting bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. So I suggest people do that. Go to annualcreditreport.com and monitor your credit, right? And to make sure that there's no discrepancies. And if there are, address them. You can sometimes just call a credit reporting agency directly and start the dispute process. You can do it online. So I would suggest people do that. Also, connect with any nonprofit financial coaching program. I can plug my own, www.cos.org, right? And so work with someone who has the capacity to work with you and provide you that help and work with you on rebuilding steps. So how do you rebuild your credit? Well, you pay your bills on time, number one, right? And you address outstanding collections. So, let's say you want a home. Well, all of those things have to be addressed before you can get a home, right? But I just want to demystify credit with people because you can look at it yourself. Even if you don't understand it, bring it to a certified counselor, housing counselor, or financial coach to help you because it's a process, but it can happen. And you don't have to wait 7 to 10 years for it to happen.
Yeah, I think I know we don't have credit repair in our curriculum per se, but as you know, we pull up the credit report and we go through it. But I damn sure I'm not saying credit repair no more.
Don't rebuild their credit.
Because it's true though. It's 100% rebuild. Like nothing is happening overnight. Nothing. Like
Nothing.
Even if you dispute it and win, it's still gonna take a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Let me give you a story. I got to tell you this. Okay, so I was deep in a credit rebuilding with a housing authority resident who at this point Hartford, two of the major housing complexes, public housing complexes, were converted into home ownership opportunities, Stowe Village and Charter Oak Terrace, right? And so I got the contract with the housing authority to work with those families to get them mortgage ready. And so there was one single mom who came to see me for credit rebuilding, and she said, point blank, there's one thing, I have a public record and I'm not paying it. So during the session, it was a, what do you call that? Parole agency, right? Like if you, not a parole agency, no. What's the right word? Come on. When someone gets you out of jail, they give you bail bondsman. Thank you. There was a bail bondsman listed on her credit report for an exorbitant amount of money. And so she told me the story. Her son was on the run. He was picked up by the HPD. At the same time, the bounty hunter was also running, trying to catch him. HPD caught him, but the bounty hunter put in a claim. Okay, so I didn't believe her. Honestly, I'm telling you, I've heard so many stories. I didn't believe her. So I said, okay, let me analyze this. If HPD picked him up, we need the police report showing that it's time stamped. In my credit counselor, I called the collection agency who had that account, and so I kind of, in talking to the person was trying to collect the debt, and so she basically said, yes, her son was picked up at 4:00 by the bounty hunter. Well, the police report showed directly that he was picked up at 1:29 p.m. by the Hartford Police Department. And because of that bail bondsman is no longer in business. Wow. That public record was taken off, and that was the first time I've ever seen that, where a public record was removed from this person's credit report. Wow. And she's a homeowner now.
Wow.
But you see the stuff?
Yeah.
And had she tried to handle that on her own, you know, the type of personality that she had probably wouldn't have gotten her what she needed to get done.
Understood.
And so, and I didn't believe her, but because I delved deeper and heard what that person said while the collection agency, and then said, okay, but if you said this happened at 1:29, the police report will say that. Get that police report. $10,000 off her credit report.
When in doubt, seek help.
Seek help.
When I'm ready to stop bashing my head in the wall, I'm ready to seek some extra guidance and perspectives and opinions. Well, I could have this conversation literally all day. I've enjoyed it so much. Unfortunately, work is calling me, and I got to get back to it.
Okay,
but again, I can't thank you enough for coming out and spending time with us. And I mean, this message it's such an incredibly important one, and it is more importantly an incredibly empowering one. So I can't thank you enough for coming out. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
Follow that podcast.